I have a lot of things to share with you today. I usually record these journals every month, and it's only been a month and a half, so it's not that much longer, but I've been extremely productive, and it feels like I've explored things and changed my mind a few times since I last spoke with you. So I'm excited for this. If it's your first time here, my name is Julie. I decided to become an artist, and I started to study art online over a year and a half ago, and on this channel I share all of my journey with you. So today I'm going to talk about my art classes that I'm giving, my personal work. I had this intention to do a lot more personal work and start to find my voice, so I've been exploring a lot of different things, and also what I've been doing for the classes that I take at New Masters Academy. I'm just going to start with my classes that I'm giving because it was the big thing in my last journal. I started giving classes in September and we are in November now, and I'm still loving it. As I was telling you last time, I really enjoy explaining things. I had a lot of fun with my classes. When I'm teaching, I don't see time passing and I'm just having a great time. So this hasn't changed. I think the last session that we had was our 7th session. So with each class that I give, the stress is a little bit less, or at least it was the case until recently, because we had a 2 weeks break, and getting back to the classes I felt a little bit more anxiety than when I left, but overall it's getting easier and easier, and I am still absolutely loving it, so I'm having a great time. It is a lot of work, and this is good. I take this as a good thing for me, for my own artistic journey, and it is one of the reasons why I wanted to teach as well, because it is forcing me to review everything that I've learned and to think about how it was taught to me and how to make it mine in order to be able to share it with people with my own words. So this is a lot of work, and I've also invested a lot of time in preparing things that if I give this class again, I shouldn't have to do again. For example, I've been taking reference photos of geometric solids because it's surprisingly hard to find good quality reference photos like this online. And for me, since I am a New Masters Academy student, as part of my subscription, I have access to their reference library, so I don't have to think about it when I'm looking for something like a geometric solid in good studio lighting without too much distortion, or if I want a figure photo, nude or not nude, and I can find it very easily on this massive library, but I've had access to it for so long now that I underestimated how valuable it is, and I was looking for photos of geometric solids to use for my class that I can use, that I have the right to use, obviously, and I couldn't find it, so I had to take all these photos. I've been also making diagrams and making drawings myself to illustrate step-by-step processes for different things. So it's taking really a lot of time, but the way I'm seeing it is that when I'm reviewing things, I am working on my own skills as I do this always, and I'm also making this assets library for myself that I will be able to use for years. So it is an investment now, but still loving it, and I think I will be able to reuse all of these things in the future, so I'm not complaining, just sharing what it is with you. In terms of personal work, as I was saying last time, I want to spend more time working on personal work and starting to build myself a portfolio. Now that I've finished the Drawing Foundations module, especially, I feel the need to focus on it more. And the other reason why I want to spend more time working on my portfolio as well is that I was invited to join the 2-year program at New Masters Academy as an older student who has completed the Drawing Foundations module in order to be able to help and support students who are just starting. If you're not familiar with the program, it is not something that you can join right now, but just to give you an idea, it is a program in 2 years that covers the drawing fundamentals, and students have access to a lot of things. They are going to take the entire Drawing Foundations module that I personally finished. But another big part of this program is that they have a mandatory amount of time that they have to dedicate every week to what they call studio time. And basically it's personal work time. It is time that has to serve directly or indirectly the building of a portfolio, so that at the end of the 2 years you have a portfolio to show and not just assignments. So I am part of this program right now. I'm not taking the classes that I already took, I am taking other classes, but I wanted to take advantage of their schedule and the resources that they have within the program to be able to get out of this habit that I had to just be working on assignments and not personal work. So this is the other reason why I am focusing on studio time as much. And it's been difficult for me to get to the amount of time that I should get to for studio time. Because it wasn't a habit. So for the first weeks at the start of the program, I was painfully around 5 hours a week of studio time, and slowly I've been working on increasing it. I've been exploring different things that I'm going to tell you about, and right now I am around 12 hours a week of personal work, and I think I am finding a good balance that works well for me between coursework and personal work finally. So at first I had to figure out what I want to do for personal work, because it's been a question since the beginning of this channel, because it's been a deep question for me that I still haven't fully resolved, and I guess it is part of an artist's journey to keep thinking about it, but I still don't know exactly what I want to do, and maybe I'm just overthinking it and I will end up just doing something that I like and see where it leads me. But yeah, I spent some time thinking about the kind of art that I want to make, the themes that I am inspired by and why they are so inspiring to me. I've been making master studies from some artworks that are on these themes, and from those master studies I found that I wasn't interested in the things that I thought I was interested in. So my first idea was that I like fairy tales and myth, and so I decided to study figurative paintings that depict mythological or fairy tale or these kinds of scenes. And I made a study of a Waterhouse painting. I made a small study of this painting, and I took a lot of notes as well about the composition and what the story was about, and I did this entire exercise. I made another study of Rossetti painting. That's the Annunciation, so it is a Pre-Raphaelite painter, and it's a movement that I thought was very inspiring to me. But what came out of these studies was, for me, what I realized was that I'm not interested in the mythological aspect of these paintings as much as the dreamlike quality, the symbolic quality, and so I changed my mind a little bit and I decided that this is what I'm more interested about. After this, I started a big ensemble of master studies. I don't remember exactly how this happened, how this thought started, but I remembered a series of paintings that I saw at my local museum. So it is the Museum of Fine Arts in Lyon, where I live. I saw this room when I went there for the first time that is full of paintings by Louis Jeanmot, and it is called Le Poème de l'âme, so the poem of the soul, and it is an ensemble of, I can't remember how many, 18 paintings? I think I forgot, but a lot of paintings that depict a story, so it is a sequential story in paintings that also has a poem to go with it. And since they have this very symbolic, dreamlike quality to them, and I was very attracted to them when I saw them. I decided to make studies from these paintings. I made very simple thumbnail studies in the style of what I did for the sketchbook journey class. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a video about this class as well, so I will leave a link if you want to check it out after. But so I made these studies and I made like 7 of them. Yeah, I think 7. And it was an interesting exercise because I was again taking notes about the composition, what I think it meant, and trying to make an analysis of the painting, both the visual side of it and the story side of it, and I was also reading the poems alongside my studies. But I didn't feel like I was getting a lot out of it, and so I just decided to stop because I didn't know why I was doing it anymore. It felt a bit empty, and so I had to force myself to do it, and I started to procrastinate, and I was thinking that drawing anything would be better than trying to force myself to do this and be procrastinating, and so I wasn't drawing anything. So yeah, long story short, I went to the museum and I made a final study from one of these paintings, one of them that is especially fun and that I especially like. It's called Le Cauchemar, The Nightmare, and I think it is a symbolic representation of school and going to school as a young, maybe 10 years old child. I will put the image, and if you haven't enjoyed school, maybe you will find this as funny as I do. But yeah, I made this drawing at the museum from life and from the painting, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And this is how my master study of Le Poème de l'âme endeavor ended, because I wasn't getting a lot out of it. But actually this allowed me to understand something else that is important and that is helping to guide me. So this is definitely not lost time. I learned a lot out of these master studies about what I think I want to do versus what I am actually interested in, and how to better direct my efforts. And what I learned from this is that I am interested in some qualities these paintings have, in the subject matter, in the dreaminess, but I'm not necessarily interested in the style. And what I mean by that is that they are very large. I think they're 136 centimeters by 100 centimeters. So yeah, 1 meter by 1 meter 36. Big oil paintings, and they depict a scene. And this isn't what I want to do. I'm not interested in doing myself these kinds of compositions. And what I was studying from these paintings was specifically the composition. So I didn't feel like I was taking a lot out of it, because I really wasn't taking a lot out of it. And it wasn't someone on Discord, I was sharing my thoughts about this because I felt like I was in a slump at this point, and someone replied to me that maybe I would take more out of this exercise if I was trying myself to make a composition like this, tried it, and then went back to my master studies. And as I would have faced the problems myself in a real situation, I would be getting more out of the exercise. And this is a great advice. I'm giving it back to you. This is an excellent advice that made me realize that I have no interest in doing this kind of composition, and therefore the exercise isn't that interesting to me either. Along this, I was also sketching ideas for composition. I was thinking about some themes that I was interested in, and I made some rough sketches that took me some time. I'm not going to share them with you because I share a lot here, but I don't like showing ideas that either I know that I don't want to pursue, or I am not sure yet, because it feels like a kind of commitment, and it's not good for my creative process. Plus, I don't think I'm going to do anything with any of them, so there is no point. But I spent some time doing this as well, and I spent time thinking about which medium I want to use, because I've been using a variety of mediums in my studies at New Masters Academy for each class. I did ink, charcoal, I did graphite, watercolor, gouache, markers, fine liner pens, just a lot of things. And since I didn't have a consistent personal practice, I didn't have my medium that I felt comfortable with and that I knew I loved and I wanted to pursue. So I've been thinking about which mediums I like, which ones I don't, and which medium I can see myself using. Maybe not for my entire career, there is no reason to commit that hard, but at least a medium that I can see myself using for some time, that I know gives me good results and that I also just enjoy using, because I don't want to commit to a medium that I just don't like. So I came to the conclusion that in color, my favorite mediums would be watercolor or egg tempera. So I got back to egg tempera after a long time. I made some videos about egg tempera if you're curious about it, if you haven't heard of it at all. It is the paint that was used the most before oil paint was invented, and oil paint replaced it for the most part, but egg tempera is the most ancient technique. It is like oil paint, it is permanent, so once the painting is dry, you won't be able to erase it with water. It's not water soluble anymore, but the differences with oil are that it is water soluble before it dries. So you can clean your brushes with water, you don't need solvents, and this is what was attractive to me in egg tempera at first. And unlike oil, it dries extremely fast. It is not a slow drying medium by any means. It dries even faster than gouache. So how it works is that you use egg yolk and pigments, powdered pigments, and you mix them and you make your paint fresh every day, or for every painting session, or you can keep it for a few days in the fridge. I'm not going to go too much into the details. Today, icon painters are using egg tempera. I've seen some, I don't know how it's called in English, but the medieval manuscripts, some of them are also using egg tempera. It is egg tempera and gouache most of the time, and yeah, just a few contemporary painters use it. And one of them is Julio Reyes. So as I wanted to get back to egg tempera, I subscribed to his Patreon and I made a few experiments, just a color wheel, and then I started to make a study of a pair, and it didn't feel so great, so I just erased it. It didn't go so well, and this is pretty much where my exploration of egg tempera ended, because it is a medium that I love, that I can maybe see myself getting really into at some point, but I think, and it makes me sad, but I think that the hassle it is to set it up, and I know it's not much, it's like cracking open an egg and mixing some paint and having my palette on my table. It's not a lot, but this is just too much friction for me, and so it's not as easy for me to practice egg tempera, despite the very useful things that I learned thanks to this Patreon. But yeah, it's just too much for me right now, too much friction to do it in the space that I am in. For the past couple weeks, I went back to an inspiration that I've had for a very long time and that I already talked about in this channel. I wanted to look into art movements and artists who combine decorative elements with more naturalistic elements, and specifically naturalistic looking figures, because it's just something I like. So I went back to Art Nouveau, and I also joined a challenge on the New Masters Academy Discord that with a lot of people, I think we are over 30 right now taking it. It is 100 days challenge and 100 days of master studies, so we are all, drawing master studies for 100 days. So what I've been studying is postcards from the Art Nouveau period. So I have this big book that I found at a second-hand shop about Art Nouveau postcards, and they're sorted by countries and they're a lot of fun to look at. So I've been studying a few of them, just making sketches from the postcards to see how they combine very graphic elements with figures that are not fully realistic, because it's always very flat, but that look natural in an environment, in an image that is highly designed. And the other big master study project that I'm working on right now is something that I intended to do over a year ago and that I stopped very early, but I have this book. It's a PDF that you can download as well because it's a pre-copyright book. So I will leave a link in the description to the Internet Archive where you can find it. It is called Nature Drawing and Design, and it is a book that has 24 plates of flowers, and each time you can see the flower in its naturalistic form, and then you have a plate of ornamental patterns from the flower. If you like flowers and Art Nouveau, you're going to love this book. So I started to copy every plate from this book as part of the 100 days challenge. So I am not copying one plate every day. That's way too much work, but I am making progress on them every day. And it's been a lot of work, but I'm hoping from this to absorb some of this aesthetic and get things that I can apply later to be able to create my own patterns, and also to memorize the simplifications that they use for each flower, because they have every time geometric breakdown of the flower, and I think it is a nice way to be able to memorize the flower forms, which I don't have in my memory right now. I don't know anything about plants. And the final big interest that I have right now, I think I'm going to pursue for some time, is botanical art. When I was in a slump with my master studies and I wasn't getting what I was hoping to get out of the exercise, I felt the desire to explore botanical painting just because I've always enjoyed looking at it, and I think for a long time I had this idea that I wanted to try it, but I was spending a lot of time studying and I didn't have the space to do botanical art on the side. So I just started. I took a subscription to Billy Shower's website. If you don't know her, she's a botanical painter and she makes tutorials in watercolor. I haven't done a lot of them, I just had time to do one, but I had a lot of fun, and it was a tutorial of painting radishes. It was a level 1 tutorial, and I hope I can do more. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to invest a lot of time in following step-by-step tutorials, or if I want to just do a few and try to apply these to different subjects, because I enjoy working from life a lot more than I enjoy working from photographs. So it's been an interest. I recently got a book about botanical painting and I started to read it a couple days ago, and I can see myself getting very interested in it. I read something that I find very interesting, that today botanical art is one of the last art fields that relies on describing reality as its primary focus. And so it is attractive to people who enjoy details and depicting what they see in a naturalistic manner. And I think it is what I find so attractive in botanical art, the fact that there is nothing loose about it, it's not meant to be, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, it's very meticulous. I absolutely love the meticulous aspect of it, and the fact that the artist is aiming for the most perfect depiction of what they're seeing. And this isn't perfect in the sense of hyper-realism. There is a lot of art in arranging the plants and in making it both clear as a scientific illustration, showing in the best possible way each different part of the plant, and at the same time making it aesthetically pleasing. And I'm getting really into it. I found the start of the book very interesting. I'm just reading through it at the time. It's a lot of tutorials, so you're supposed to follow along. I'm just reading it back to back, and I think I'm gonna start to learn about botanical, just botanic, because it's going to help me make more sense of what I see. So yeah, this is just a new interest of mine, and alongside all of this, I've also been doing different master studies and I've been making a few sketches from life. So I've been doing a lot of personal work lately, a lot more than I usually do, but I'm also still actively taking classes and studying, but I've been very focused. I'm just currently taking 2 classes actively, meaning that I do the assignments and I'm really studying. I'm also taking a lecture on the side, so the lecture is Mr. Ray's anatomy focus. So I'm taking this one. I made just one drawing from the first lesson, but I'm not doing the assignments just because I don't have time. It's an excellent class, and if you have access to it, I highly recommend it. You can catch up with the recordings. But for me, I'm focusing on 2 classes currently. It is Constructive Figure Drawing 1 with Steve Houston and Classical Drawing and Design with Joshua Jacobo, and I'm gonna start with this one. Unfortunately, it is not currently available to all New Masters Academy subscribers. It is a lecture that is given for now, just for now. I think it is going to be accessible at some point, but for now, it is just given to the students of the 2-year program. So it is one of the things that I feel very lucky and grateful to have access to, because it's an excellent lecture. I'm taking a lot out of it, and it aligns extremely well with what I enjoy and what I want to learn and what I want to do as well. So I can't share too much of the contents with you because it's not a secret, I think, but I think this class is still subject to change and to be improved, so I don't want to talk too much about what is probably an early version of the class. So it's been a lot about geometry. We had lectures about verticals, horizontals, and a lot of fine motor practice, as well as geometry theory of very basic things, but that I didn't know and that I think a lot of people don't know. In the group, at least, we are all, I believe, learning things. And yeah, I spent a lot of time working on the assignments for this class. I'm going to show you a few of the assignments that I did, and it's probably not going to speak to you a lot because it's very unusual for an art class to do these kinds of things, and I can't share too much about the content of the class, but it's taken a lot of time and I've been absolutely loving it. For the other class, so Constructive Figure Drawing with Steve Houston, if you're familiar with the Drawing Foundations module at New Masters Academy, maybe you know that this class is part of the first module and I finished it, and I should be moving on to the second module that is currently the figure drawing module. But the reason why I'm taking this class that is earlier for me and then where I'm supposed to be is that when I was taking the Drawing Foundations module, there was a lot of change happening, and because I had already completed some classes, I wasn't required to go back and take this one that was added afterwards. But since it is a 2-part class, and the first part is in the Drawing Foundations module, and the second part of the same class is in the Figure Drawing module, I don't want to take part 2 in the Figure Drawing module without having taken part 1 in the Drawing Foundations module. So I just went back, and this is the class that I'm taking right now. It is a class with Steve Houston, and I've been enjoying every class that I took from him, so this is no exception. I've been having a great time with this one. It feels easy. I can feel that I have more experience that is required for this class and that I moved past this point. So I'm trying to do the assignments at the best of my ability, and I'm working on things that are not necessarily the point of the lesson, the point of the assignment, but I'm trying to find things, opportunities for improvement within the assignments, despite the fact that the main thing, I think I mostly have it already, but I still want to find other adjacent things. One of them is that in this class, Steve Houston is using I always confuse them because some people say overhand and some people say underhand, so I'm just going to show it to you. He uses this kind of grip. And I've been practicing it a little bit at the start of the Drawing Foundations module because it was part of some assignments that I had early on, but I haven't been practicing it a lot. I went back quickly to my more natural grip that is more like a tripod grip. This is how I mostly hold a pencil or a pen, and obviously some tools you have to hold this way or you can't make a mark. This is mostly with pencils that you can afford to hold them in very different ways, because as long as you have enough lead exposed, you can just use them at different angles. But if you try to use a fountain pen like this, it's just not going to work. It won't even make contact with the page. So anyway, I took the opportunity to force myself to practice this grip. Also, I was advised to do so by my coach in Master Mentorship. Yeah, I've been practicing it, and I've been trying to go a little bit deeper than the assignments by breaking down secondary forms and not just the primary forms. But I've been enjoying it as well. It's going pretty well. I'm not taking this class as fast as I know I could, because I'm spending more time in personal work than I do in coursework. And I'm surprised to say this because it's been a struggle for a long time, but I think I am finally finding a balance between the two that makes me happy. I feel like I am making progress on the courses. I'm not getting... Sometimes when I don't work on something for too long, I lose momentum, and it's not happening here. I'm not losing momentum, and I enjoy exploring my own things. I feel excited at the idea of getting into botanical painting, which maybe this is what I'm going to do, and not what I was first thinking about dreams and everything. I don't know yet. I don't want to commit to anything, but this is just to share my thoughts with you. Yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about my courses as well, and I'm looking forward to the next journal. Next week I have a video coming out that is my review of the entire Drawing Foundations module, so if you want to see it and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can subscribe right now. I will leave a link to the playlist of my earlier art journals if you haven't seen them. Thank you for watching, stay creative, and I will see you in the next one.